Hi, my name is Tony Castellano with Western Computer, but today I'm coming to you as a representative of Directions North America, their volunteer marketing committee. Our goal is to get the word out about Directions NA that'll be happening April 7th through 9th this year in Las Vegas, Nevada. And Directions this year, it will be actually the 20th year of in-person meetings. So really the platinum event of the Directions. So we're trying to get the word out to get as many people as we can to the event. Of course, last year we had just under 1,300. Our goal this year is 1,400 or more. So sign up today and attend this really once-in-a-lifetime event. North America Directions has been around for 20 years, but it is one of the longest partner-to-partner events, and you can really get a lot of value out of it. Western Computer has been going for as many years as I can remember, but of course, don't take my word for it. We invited one of our industry colleagues to come on and tell us their story about Directions. So I'd like to introduce Mary Lanham with Lanham Associates. Mary, how are you today?
Hi, Tony. I'm doing very well, and it's great to be with you. And I love talking about Directions, so everything's all good.
Great. Well, we appreciate you having you on. And really, our goal is to get as many partners as we can to the event, whether they're from the US, in Europe, overseas, doing BC, CRM. It's really become a holistic Microsoft event. Before we talk a little bit about Directions and your experience there, can you introduce yourself and tell us about the Microsoft partner that you've built?
Sure. I'm Mary Lanham from Lanham Associates, and we are an ISV going way back. We got our start back in the mid-90s when Navision actually came to the US from Denmark. My partner and other half, Dale Lanham, is the technical side of the operation, and he was doing some consulting in the distribution industry, and he was asked to evaluate Navision as an ERP system for distributors in the US. And what he found was that it was an awesome ERP system. However, it fell short on the distribution side because in Denmark, you can move products from the two furthest points in about 6 hours. Very different than the US, where we have a vast geography and we need distributors to get products to customers. So he was tapped eventually to create the software to bring what they termed advanced distribution to Navision. And he and his team did that, and we were in a royalty situation. It was being sold around the world, and we were just kicking off. And lo and behold, they suddenly had to own the product. And that wasn't the best scenario, but it wasn't the worst either. It set up things really good for the future. And the whole thing was that we found out in the 2000 timeframe, the year 2000, that Microsoft was purchasing Navision. So they needed to own the software. So that went into place, and they bought everything that we had at the moment, which included warehousing, it included EDI, and it included demand planning. And in short time, they decided that EDI and demand planning were not for them, and they couldn't really support. You really have to know demand planning inside and out because of the financial impact it has on a company you're working with. But in addition to that, there weren't any ERP manufacturers using EDI at the time, and it was too much to ask them to support all that. So thank God they came and gave that back and said, would you guys please support all the customers? And we were like, absolutely. So from there, we continued to build products, and part of our whole mantra is that we build products that are fluent with Business Central now, Navision at the time, and Nav in between, because they have the same user interface, the same data storage, the same role centers, and you can't tell where BC starts and stops and where Lanham starts and stops. So it's a great user experience, and it's very easy to control your data and understand everything that you need to look at. Anyway, we have a full suite of supply chain solutions, and we can talk more about that at Directions if I can see you there. But that is how we got our start and where we are today.
Yeah, it's amazing. And some of the conversations, obviously, Tom Bartos meeting with you early on, sub 2000s and learning the software. It's just incredible the depth of your solution and how it's built over the years. And then, of course, how you're able to transform to the cloud and continue to deliver products. So always been
Absolutely.
really proud of what you guys do. And you guys are our gold sponsor this year and have been for many years at Directions. So we appreciate it for that. So, Mary, my
Absolutely.
first Directions was 2007. You know, there was probably 500 people there, but it was pretty much a well-oiled machine already. Now, it's my understanding that you were there for the early days. Can you tell me a little bit about how
Oh,
Directions got
sure.
started?
Absolutely. It was a lot of fun to get it started. There was actually a crystallizing event that occurred. There was a meeting that Microsoft sponsored called Convergence, and it was a converging of ERP and IT solutions. So it was a very broad stack, if you will. There were a lot of IT outsourcing companies involved in it. It was almost like a Comdex. And in 2004, at that meeting, um, Microsoft held an interview with the Gartner Group, and they were struggling. They had 4 ERP systems that they owned: Solomon, AX, Nav, and the other one that I should know. They were trying to position those, and they were struggling with how do we position those, especially in the US, where we have a very broad ERP market. And so they looked at some data across the world, and they realized that in Europe, where NAV got started and where it was most densely populated at that point in time, there were small companies using it. So they designated it in this discussion with Gartner for up to 25 users. Well, I had phone calls directly from customers that day because we had well over 30 customers right off the bat that were 50 users or greater. Our average user size at that point in time was a 50 user system.
Wow.
So it was distressing, to say the least. And some of my colleagues in the channel, specifically Sheldon Kralstein of Clients First and Kurt Goodwin, who was of his own company at that time, came by our booth and said, okay, we can't let this happen. We've got to do something. We are going to take out an ad in the Wall Street Journal against this. And I said, whoa, 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 let's talk to Microsoft first. So I said, I'm going to send a letter, an email, and I encourage everybody you talk to and I talk to in the channel to send an email. And the email should go to Tammy Reller because she's running Microsoft Business Solutions. And we need to tell her how we feel about this. So that ensued. And it so happened that Satya Nadella was at the top of Microsoft Business Solutions. Tammy reported to him, and then Mogens Ellsberg was in Denmark, and he was the product manager worldwide. And since we'd been involved with the product for a long time, we knew Mogens pretty well. And he attended that meeting with us. Tammy Reller was there, and Satya Nadella was there. And at that meeting, that's where they explained how they made their determination of where to draw the line on numbers of users. And once we explained our situation and our customers' situations, Satya said, well, I guess I can't do that. And said, thank you. So that was the start of Directions. From there, we decided as we left that meeting that we needed to organize the channel so that we could make sure that we had all the information we needed and make sure we had an open dialogue with Microsoft about how things were going, but that we really controlled it. Because in the past, Navision had meetings that were run by Navision, which subsequently would be Microsoft, right? And we ended up being invited to some joint meetings between other ERP platforms at Microsoft, but we felt like we needed to make sure we got certain content distributed in the channel. And for that reason, we set up multiple tracks to the meeting. So we didn't make it just a general meeting. We had a track for developers, we had a track for executives, we had a track for salespeople, and we had a track for consultants. And we may still be close to that with a little bit more specialties added into that today with Directions. But
Yeah,
it makes it wonderful because there's something for everyone there. And
there's no doubt.
yeah, it's for the channel by the channel. And of course, there's a lot of consultation that goes on with Microsoft to make sure that the latest, greatest information is being presented. But it's also nice to have it orchestrated dovetailed in with the needs of the channel, let's say.
Yeah, no doubt. Amazing story. And where did you guys end up having the first meeting, Mary?
We actually had it at Convergence.
Oh, so
So it
right
was a
there.
multi-day meeting, and yeah, they reacted quickly, which we were grateful for. So
That's awesome.
yes.
That
It
is
was
so
it was
awesome.
very good. We had not been talking to Microsoft at that level, and it was good to have that opportunity.
Yeah, and the amazing thing about directions coming from different industries that may be more competitive and more siloed is just how the partners are open to, hey, helping you out, sharing best practices. It's really kind of us against the world kind of mentality. So I found that fascinating when I first came into the channel, when I was a 30-year-old lad. So obviously directions is such a great event. Mary, can you tell us, maybe one of your funniest stories from directions?
So when it comes to funny memories, I can look back now and think of them as funny, but I didn't think of many of them as funny when I was in the leadership role of running directions from 2005 through 2010, which was actually 6 meetings. So one of the ones I can think of right off the bat is when I invited Tammy to come to the first directions, and she was brave enough and solid enough to come and stand on stage and just open mic it with the crowd and take the questions. And she handled really tough questions with lots of emotion tied up into them. And I can imagine how difficult it would be to try to integrate 4 different ERP systems and their channels into a business unit. So she was killing it really from her side, but we finished the amount of time that was allocated, and she needed to get back to the airport, and she had transportation lined up. So I escorted her down the hallway at that venue to meet her transportation. And I looked over my shoulder, and there were about 10 people following us, chasing us, really running, screaming questions at her. And
That's so
to her
crazy.
credit, she looked at me and said, "Get all those questions down and send them to me," which we did, and we got all of them answered. So I should have funnier memories, but all of my memories start with a stress situation, and then I look back on them and they're funny. So
Yeah, and that sounds pretty funny, like a paparazzi moment there.
yeah, yes.
Well, of course, since it is 20 years, there's going to be a lot of nostalgia, right? They're wanting to pull out old pictures. So we encourage all the partners, bring those memories and photos with you because it is going to be a great time. So again, we're talking about Directions North America. That's going to be happening April 7th through 9th at the Virgin Hotels in Las Vegas. So Mary, as a sponsor, what do you get out of the event? Like, is it the education? Is it the connections? What most value do you get as a business owner?
Well, I have to tell you that I think there's value in both of those areas, huge value. So we bring probably 12 people every year at a minimum to the meeting. You get product information, you get the latest announcements, you get some hands-on training if you're looking for that. You get a tremendous amount of networking. Um, as I said, there's different tracks, so and I would encourage partners that are just starting to think about whether they should attend directions or not. If you're unsure, send 1 or 2 people, have them, sit in various areas, do a map out before the person leaves and comes to the meeting of what is most important to your company, and strategically attend those sessions. And then have people share information. And for attendees after the fact, we normally have the presentations available for them to reference back so they could actually share those with people back in the office. But it's really something not to miss. There's so much energy, positive energy, and so much dedication that goes into it from the people volunteering and putting it together that year. It is always top notch, and it is always appreciated and we had 325 people at the first meeting, and now as you said, the meeting is approaching attendance of nearly 1,500. That says it. It says a lot about it. It's a very effective, very valuable meeting.
Agreed. Yeah, and you're right. The presentations that come out of that are simply gold. Us at Western Computer, we would always take a couple of the leaders who went and they would give a post-trip report to highlight those things. And there was so much information that you could provide to different levels of the team. We always found great value in it, and that's why we're so involved. So, Mary, we talked about one of your funniest memories. You've obviously been with Directions for a long time. What is one of your fondest memories of the event?
Well, I would say one of my fondest memories, there were 2 times that we held the event at a Disney location. And on the second time that we went there, Disney was very appreciative of us coming back. And I actually met a few people that I knew through strange other relationships, like a son of a guy that I used to work for that worked in that area. And it was really nice. And they really went out of their way to personalize the meeting for us and make it special. But and they also have really great, fantastic curriculum on all kinds of management things that I didn't realize they could do. So they brought a lot of value to the meeting. But in that particular case, we had a night event where we were going to go to an outside venue and we were going to have a laser light show. And as a special tribute to me, and because I had those contacts that appreciated us coming back, as we turned the corner to go to that venue, there were an incredible number of lights. They had done this really special presentation, and it wowed everybody. And it was really just a nice special surprise. You know, when you do those kind of things, you put a lot of time and energy into them, and it always is nice when somebody takes the extra mile to make your meeting special for you. So that was one of my founder memories.
That is so great. And you know, I do remember that event. They talked about the Disney effect on customer service, how they would go above and beyond,
Right.
and what incredible content to bring back to the organization. I remember that one specifically. So, well, Mary, it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you today. If there's a partner on the fence about making this investment or double downing on their business, what would you say to them?
I would say this is the best investment you can make in this channel for Business Central for the year. I absolutely hands down think that it delivers the most value of any of the meetings. And there are a lot of good meetings, but this one is really the top-notch one to attend. So don't miss it.
I agree with you. They're starting to call it the platinum event since it's the 20-year. Well, Mary, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate you. And for the partners out there, again, you're either double downing on your business and your craft or you're not. It's a must attend Directions North America 2025 in Las Vegas, Nevada. We'll see you there.
See you there.